Hello friends, it's me with you, your independent journalist, Daria Drozdova, and today I want to discuss with you where Russians go wrong when they first come to the United States. So the first one is distance. It's very funny, and when I first came to the US, I was in Missouri State, and remember I was standing in a line in a Walmart, and the distance between people were approximately 6 feet, and I cut the line, and I felt that somebody is watching my back, and I turned and I saw that a man is standing, and I asked, "Are you in line?" And he said yes, and I saw that in his eyes there is a strange thing, like, "Girl, why did you cut the line?" He didn't understand me, and I didn't understand it either, because in Ukraine, as we know, as well as in Russia probably, so we go very close to each other, like a few centimeters in ATB. When we are standing, we are very close and even breathe into each other's shoulders and back, like this, right? So you should keep the distance. And for Americans, it is normal, really normal, to keep the distance 4-6 feet apart. Now you know that we have coronavirus situation, and the government told us 6 feet apart. And I recently read in this book that was what mean the name of the book. So this book says that 4-6 feet apart, it's a normal distance for Americans when they stand in the line, or when they chat and they see this person for the first time. So it's okay for them to keep this 4 feet apart. So you need to remember it and keep this distance so you won't do this mistake. Next, second mistake. Americans like to say "excuse me" even though they're like 6 feet apart, really. They're far, and just you're walking in a street and or in a supermarket, and you're really far from each other, but still you can hear "excuse me." And of course, if somebody is holding a trolley in a supermarket or in a street, or somehow wants to change places with you, you will hear "excuse me." So Americans always say excuse me, while Canadians would rather say "I'm sorry." And it's more like British way, and you know that Canada still has kind of influence of United Kingdom more than US, and US is more independent. So just remember that when you hear "excuse me," it's just a polite way, and use it too. Really, they like it, like excuse me sir, excuse me ma'am, like this would be very polite. Number 3, this is tea. So talking about tea, this is also really funny. Once I came to one of friends and to their house, Americans, and she asked me, "Would you like some tea?" It was a bit cold outside, so I thought maybe she will give me a hot tea, and it's awesome. That's how we do in Ukraine. And guess what? This girl, she gave me a glass of iced tea, and it was full of ice. Really, guys, I'm not kidding. So I was like, "Oh, really? It's already cold outside. Did you see the weather?" And it was okay for her, and she really cared about me, and she thought like, "If you want tea, okay, we'll give it tea for you." So make sure that your American friend knows what you mean, because in their mentality they thinking about cold tea, and not every American person understands that you really like hot tea. Even though it can be hot, outside, we Ukrainians, we drink hot tea, right? But not Americans. Americans, they drink cold water, cold tea, even though it can be -2, -5 outside. And so keep this in mind. And another stuff is that if they mean tea, they invite you for tea. Let's go drink some coffee. Let's go drink some tea. And they invite you to come over and let's drink some tea. They really mean tea. There won't be any other food, maybe a few cookies, 2 cookies, and that's all. But when we mean tea, you know, guys, right? A lot of food and this stuff, and can be sushi, I don't know, maybe some pizza, and then tea. So if Americans mean tea, it is tea, really. So don't get confused with it. Number 4. You should say hi every time you meet a person at work. So I did this mistake and I was very irritated, guys, really. When I was working in Challenger, now it's quarantine and I still work there. So all the time people we saw each other and we said good morning, and I in my mind said, it's like, this is it, it's it, I saw you already. But again, when you see a person second time, you should at least smile, and you can say also hi, how is it going, what's up, or something like this. So keep this in mind. So if you are working with Americans, it's important to notice a person every time you see this person. And in Ukrainian culture and Russian culture, you always you think that if you said in the morning good morning and this person comes to the kitchen, you should pretend that you already did your job, you already said good morning, you don't need to say anything. But it's different here. Number 5, be polite. Always be polite. When I came, it was difficult for me to hear all the thank you, please, can you do it? And I, of course, I use thank you and please, but not as much as Americans. So make sure that you use please and thank you all the time. A lot of thank you and please in your speech. And when people say, for example, are you willing to fix it? It means go and fix it. But they don't say it. They would, could you please fix it? Could you fix it, please? Or something like, are you willing? So in Russian mindset, like, no, I'm not willing, I don't want it, but it's your job. And in our mindset, we are more like saying people what to do, telling people what to do. Like, go and fix it. Go and give me this, give me that. But it doesn't work for Americans, and always make sure that you use these words like, could you please do it? Could you please fix it? Are you willing to do this? And be nice. Keep this in your head too. Number 6, thank you cards. It was interesting when it was Christmas in my company, and I gave some little presents for my workmates, and what I've got, you know, it was a bunch of thank you cards. And I thought maybe I should write thank you cards to others, to the people who gave me also presents. And it was the right decision. So this taught me a very important lesson. Each time somebody gives you or writes you some note, I don't know, do something good for you, it's important for Americans to say thank you. But not only verbally, but also in a small card. And they call it thank you cards. So keep this also in your head. Number 7, and the last one, number 7, Americans treat one's own time and that of the other people with the greatest respect. So once you want to spend time with American friend, make an appointment. It doesn't work like, oh, I'm bored, let's meet at 3 o'clock. American would consider that you are treating his time with disrespect. What does it mean at 3 o'clock? It's in an hour, and I have a lot of plans for this day, and for the next day, and for the next week, and for the next week. So once I had a very funny situation when we wanted to organize play day for Vlad, and like I said, okay, let's meet this weekend. And the mom said, oh no, we are busy this weekend. I said, okay, what about next weekend? And she said, oh well, we are leaving the city next weekend. Okay. And she said, okay, let's meet in January. And it was the beginning of December, literally. And she meant it. And like, okay. So they really make appointment even 1 month ahead, while we are different mentality, right? And you can call and say, oh, I miss you, can you please go to the city center, let's meet near Europa, let's meet near Most City, okay? When you can be? Oh, at 6 o'clock? Okay, I will be there, okay, see you. And that's it. So it doesn't work with Americans this way. So make sure that if you want to see somebody, you need to respect his or her time and make an appointment. That's all for today, and I hope you will take some notes. If not, this is my notes. 6 points where you make mistakes when you chat with Americans, and I hope it will help you to be more productive in your English, in your communication with Americans, okay? See you again. It was me with you, your independent journalist. Love you so much. Bye.